manifesting the beauty of it. I just want positive, blah, 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 blah. And law of attraction is spiritual, isn't it? Made in Chelsea co-host.
Right.
Sorry, the third step. To the point that I was near tears. Quick disclaimer, I basically grew up Catholic, which is a bit weird. I got lost then, and you got uncomfortable. It could have been out of body, or it could have been sleep paralysis. There could be a fourth dimension. The law student in me received it. Prove to me that you're real. Quickly, this could be bollocks. Asking it's given by Mr. Hicks.
You are listening to the Son of a Bitch podcast.
With your hosts, Krystyna, Lennon and Joel Mignott.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Son of a Bitch podcast. We are joined with our very special guest.
Very special.
My beautiful boyfriend, Robbie Mullet.
That's very sweet.
Fellow Made in Chelsea co-host. We are drinking Virgin.
Made in Chelsea co-host.
Well,
What does that mean? Oh yeah, we host Made in Chelsea. Welcome to Made in Chelsea. What is that?
Wait,
I mean, we are the special guests of Made in Chelsea.
We
We
are,
basically
for sure.
are on our own show.
Absolutely. We don't participate in the main show. I don't know what that is.
None of the drama.
not with a riffraff.
Not with the heteros. No.
But yeah, we are drinking today Virgin Pina Coladas.
Because I'm not a big drinker. I hope that's okay.
Well,
Are you
his
alright
is
with that?
virgin anyway. No. They're all virgin.
You've snuck some alcohol into the office, haven't you?
Yeah.
And the reason why we've invited Robbie on today is because we want to discuss manifesting. And you have some amazing stories. I can't
Manifesting.
wait to get into it about manifesting.
I mean, look, I've not manifested that much, let's be honest. But what I
what about
have,
me?
what I have, I think, is interesting to share. Just a quick disclaimer, because the law student in me engages in critical thought. just quickly, this could be bollocks.
Yeah, of course it could.
Like, let's just get that out there. Like, this could be utter bullshit. It really
Well,
could.
we're involved, so it probably will be.
I've always had a bit of a spiritual bent. I've always leaned toward spirituality a little bit. And law of attraction is spiritual, isn't it?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
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 It's also a mindset. If you're non-spiritual, it'd just be having a bit of a positive mindset, I suppose, which is always a good thing.
Can we explain manifestation for people that don't know what manifestation is?
So here's my take, and you
Yes.
can correct me if you think I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because I basically read a book when I was 15, and it says you ask, and you ask naturally. You don't have to be like, I want this. You don't have to say that. You naturally ask. When you find something you don't like in this world, you automatically tell the universe somehow what you do want. It's an automatic process.
So it's your inner spirit has to be aligned with
I've not got there yet.
outer girl.
I was just doing step one.
Okay.
So step one, you ask, and you ask automatically. It's not something with intent. You don't have to be specific. You know, so many people, so many of our friends, they're like, I want this man who has this build and he has this lifestyle. And, he has this. And it's like, oh, it's so specific.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't do that. Like, be open to the universe bringing you something with its infinite wisdom and knowledge of who you are and what you want, and it can make it all perfect and blah, blah, blah. Like, don't be too specific,
Yeah.
right? So that's step one. And then step two, it's done. Supposedly, the universe has manifested it vibrationally.
Has received your request.
It's received it.
like an Argos order. And then
Yeah.
you have to sit in the waiting room.
It's in the fulfillment center in Amazon. It's being processed. It's done.
You
Right?
like-
It's on its way to you. It could be an interaction with a person at the right time, like when we met in the box. It could be
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that was a process of manifestation, I think. Or we
I
just met
agree.
by chance. Who knows? But I don't think we did.
No, I manifested you, I'm sure.
We can speak about that.
Yeah, we can.
So how did...
Oh yeah, and that was it. The third step.
Sorry.
Sorry. The third step. I'm almost
You
done.
just
I'm
started
almost
looking
done.
dreamily
I
into
was-
his
yeah,
eyes.
no, I got
Oh,
lost then.
God.
I got lost then, and you got uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No, I got a bit lost. Right. The third step is you have to align with it.
Mm-hmm.
So what does aligning with it mean? It actually means you've got to rise up to that frequency. And how do you know you're on that frequency? Because you'll feel it. It's a feeling.
Yes.
So if you feel abundant, then you can receive abundance. If you don't feel that, then you can't receive it. Again, could be bollocks. Like, let's just be honest. Like, it sounds a bit wishy-washy at times, but I don't know. I've had some interesting results, to say the least.
I mean, you're never going to achieve success without manifesting.
You've got to dream.
You can't just fall.
You have to dream.
The psychology behind it, you have to think before you can create.
Things are created twice.
So,
first in the head,
exactly.
and then second in real life.
Nothing that was created ever was not thought about first.
Exactly.
Can I get an amen, please?
Yeah, I like it. That's so true.
So you've got to think first
Yeah, you
before you
do.
can do or be or anything else.
Yeah.
How did you get into what opened the door to manifesting for you?
Oh, it's such a loaded question. It's a long one. I basically had, this is so strange. I basically had an out-of-body experience when I was about 15. It could have been out of body, or it could have been sleep paralysis, and I think it was the latter as I grew older.
It was just trapped wind.
Not quite. No, basically, there was this one time I woke up at midday, and I went downstairs to my mother's bedroom. And then I went back upstairs after 5 minutes, and I laid in bed, and the moment I laid down, my eyes shut, and they sort of snapped back open again, but I couldn't move. And my body was stuck in paralysis. By the way, this has nothing to do with law of attraction. This is just the story about how I got into it. It has nothing to do with that, ultimately. I don't know why. Okay. And then I spoke to my mum about it, and she was like, oh, this sounds sort of supernatural. You might like this book that my friend gave me. I don't quite understand it. And the book was Ask and It's Given by Esther Hicks.
All right, so you went straight in with the Esther.
Straight in with Esther. And I
Which
read
is-
it.
She's the very spiritual.
Very spiritual.
It's kind of
Side.
cultish.
It's ever so slightly cultish,
Kind
I'll
of
be honest.
cultish.
It is a
Abraham
bit.
Hicks is
yeah,
like
a bit weird.
The
like,
new age god.
yeah, a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like she's interpreting.
But she's funny.
She is funny, yeah.
She's funny. I like
Yeah,
her. She's
and at
funny.
times, to be honest, critically, I listen to her videos and I'm like, sounds a bit weird. But, you know, I tried it
Entertaining.
and I tested it and I liked it. So, yeah, I read this book. And before that, I basically grew up Catholic, which is a bit weird. I went to a Catholic primary.
We all
Didn't
grew
we
up
all?
Catholic,
Didn't we all?
so we're all a bit weird.
Yeah, we're a bit weird. No, I grew up Catholic in primary school. So I always had a bit of a spiritual leaning. You know, I had some notion that there could be a God, but I wouldn't say that I'm religious, not in the institutional sense at least. And I just was praying and I was like, prove to me that you're real. Prove to me that you're real. And then this book sort of landed in my lap and I read it and I was having this visceral reaction that I was like, oh, I really like this. Like, this seems to resonate with me. So I was like, well, let's test it. Let's test it, right? What can I lose?
So what is your method? Do you, because there's lots of different methods. There's the 3-6-9 method.
Not heard of it.
Do one thing 3 times, one thing 6 times, one thing 9 times.
What?
It's just a way to
There's a structure. to it.
Engage in the
Yeah, I think-
manifestation.
the science behind it. The RAS, reticular activating system, is your filter, and
What is that?
it's part of the brain at the back base of the neck that it regulates your sleep, for instance, but it also sets your filters. So you tell it you're interested in a particular car, so like, I don't know, a yellow
Ford
Porsche.
Mondeo.
Specific.
A yellow Porsche, then all of a sudden because we've mentioned a yellow Porsche today, and anybody watching,
Oh,
listening,
we'll be seeing
we
yellow
will see
Porsches.
a yellow Porsche
So
everywhere.
when you say filter, you mean the lens through which you...
we receive like 40, don't quote me on the exact figures, something like 40 billion bits of information per day. Yeah, like from every hair on your skin, you're receiving data. But we can only process, our brain can only process something like 13 million bits or something. So we have to filter out a lot of things we don't even notice.
This sounds terribly cool. I can only keep about 8 things in my head. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
13 million.
This is
So we have to set filters to stop everything from being processed.
Right.
So we set filters. The RAS is in charge of that filter. So when we set a filter to say we want to see more of this in the world, that's why we see more of that
I
in
get
the
it.
world.
Right, so you're saying if law of attraction is bollocks, which it could be, it's just the fact that you're more aware of something and then you happen to just be seeing more of it by chance.
Well, not just that. You look out for things, so you see more opportunities.
Right.
That's it. So if you're wanting a career change, for example, you have all this information that may go amiss. You may have these dots that you can connect to connect you to that person who gets you this job and whatever. So when you change that way of thinking and start to look for the filtered view, you can actually choose the way that you want to go.
So you've all been in a situation like a cafe and you hear somebody speaking on the next table. They've been speaking the whole time, but as soon as they mention a name that you're familiar with, all of a sudden it's like you hear their conversation. That's your RAS at work.
Right.
It's like, that is a subject you're interested in. I'm going to, turn the volume up so you can listen. That then opens an opportunity, because you could then go up to that table and go, by the way, I am blah, blah, blah. I'm the person you're looking for. Or it opens opportunities.
I hear that.
And we've all kind of had those opportunities where something miraculous has happened because we've overheard something, or do you know what I mean?
Okay. So
Robbie's processing.
thanks for that, guys. So my process, back to that. So yeah, I don't know what 369. I've never heard of that. I think there's obviously an abundance of techniques or methods out there, but
Everybody's got
I just got
their new
indoctrinated early into one way of doing it, which is just that there's this thing called the vortex, which is aware of everything that you want, that you've ever asked for over the course of your lifetime. And the universe, in its magnificent knowledge and understanding, knows exactly what you want and how to get it to you at the right time, provided that you're in the receiving mode, which is a feeling. It's a feeling, it's a vibration. A feeling is how you know what vibration you have. So if I feel good in this moment, if I feel joyous, or even if I feel neutral, but neutral leaning positive, then I'm able to receive things. And I think one of the things I struggled with is I didn't quite understand how I could possibly be joyous all the time.
Yeah.
Like, when you go, when you woke up for Christmas and you were a kid, like for me, that was the definition of joy. Like that was like that. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you mean I've got to feel like that all the time? Like that's really intense. Like I don't want to
That's a
be like
big
that.
ask.
This is far too much. Like it's impossible.
Yeah.
In fact, it's nothing like that. And I think I'm developing my understanding of it a bit better now. I like Eckhart Tolle. I've been getting into Eckhart.
We love Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle. And I think he's a bit more, he appeals to the masses, I think.
Not keen on his voice.
I love his voice.
Little
Wait,
bit.
you can do it a little
He's
bit.
like talking like this. Yeah. No, Eckhart's so sweet. I love him. No, I really love him.
I love him.
And he sort of speaks about being in that place where you're conscious. Now, I think this is something that a lot of people can understand. When you meditate, when you have a mindfulness practice, when you're in your body, when you're feeling things, when you're actually embracing your full conscious experience
Yeah.
from the patterns of energy in your chest and stomach, which you would associate with anxiety or joy, from everything, thoughts themselves, you can observe it all.
And you can really sit with it.
And you can
feel
be
it.
fully conscious. And
Yeah.
he says, when you're in that conscious state, then an idea might come to you, or an impulse might come to you, or just like some conscious thing will get transposed into you, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's a bit like when you think about somebody and then all of a sudden you bump into them or
Yeah.
they ring you.
Yeah.
Things like
Oh
that
my
strange
do
is that?
happen.
It's the weirdest
It's so
thing.
strange. But then
I
if you believe in this, it isn't strange.
It's like when you're texting somebody, it's like, I was just texting you. And you're like, whoa.
And you haven't spoken in a year.
Yeah, that happened to me recently.
Weird.
It's so weird.
Really
Yeah.
weird.
But that is a way of... We don't know everything.
No, we
People
don't.
can't say, oh, it's utter bollocks, because we don't know
We don't
whether
know.
it's
Don't
utter
know. There could be a
bollocks.
fourth dimension. There could be all sorts going on. We've got no
But
idea.
since the beginning of time, there has been a God, an Allah, a vortex,
Something.
a universe.
Some spiritual belief.
There's some people have believed in something
Yeah.
since virtually the beginning of time. So
sure. Astrology.
there's got to be something
There
out
could
there.
be.
Is
There
it a
could
man
be.
sat on a cloud, or is it a vortex?
Who knows?
Or, who knows? But there is some kind of power.
I think how I feel about it is like when you see, I mean, we all have those friends that are like pessimists. Their life is a constant like array of trauma and
Drama.
and
and they
stuff,
seem
and
to just reject anything.
positive. They just want to sit and
So
talk
that
about
is-
the negative, and
that
it's
is-
like, well, what do you expect?
That is exactly what I would say. I think whether or not it's real, it gives you a chance to reset, to be positive again, to actually be open to dreaming, to new possibilities. I think so many people get into fixed mindsets. So if we just look at it from a fixed and growth mindset paradigm,
Yeah.
it's probably better in that regard. And I think for me especially, there was a time when, I'd failed at college. I hadn't done very well at all. And this was a crux for me to sit back and be like, things can be okay. Things will be okay. I've got the law of attraction on my side.
Yeah.
You know, I feel confident that my dreams will come true, whatever they are, because I have that spiritual belief. So in terms of just having a life philosophy that makes you feel at ease, that makes you feel confident and comfortable and willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations even, to try new things and to go out into the world, it's fantastic.
I think it'd be interesting for us all to share an experience where we actually believe that the
Universe provided something for us.
something,
And we manifested it.
that something that was like, whoa, that can't have just been hard work.
I've got a couple.
Oh,
I've got
let
a
me
couple.
sit down.
I've got a couple. I'm going to go with the most interesting one first. So, as I said, back to that
the
book.
Prince story?
It is the Prince story. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Y'all better take a seat.
It's the only reason why he's here.
Here it comes. So, read the book. Tells me if you get into the vibrational place, you might receive an impulse from the universe.
And this book is...
Ask and It's Given by Esther Hicks.
Yeah.
I honestly, now I'm getting older, do I 100% recommend that book? Perhaps not. I think it's a little bit weird. I think Eckhart Tolle's a little bit closer. But in terms of just saying the step-by-step process, I quite liked it in that regard. So I received an impulse, but it was a very weird impulse. And it was to buy a full Saudi outfit. You know, the thobe and the gutra and the headband, everything. I bought the whole thing. I just had this impulse. I had barely any money as well. I'm like, I don't know what age I was. 18. So I was just spending money on a Saudi outfit, which is really bizarre. Who does that, right?
Are they quite expensive?
No. But still, you know, it was a frivolous expense at that age.
Yeah.
So I bought this outfit and it arrived and I loved it. And I walked around in it and I felt prince-like.
You walked around where?
In my house, on the top floor, alone. So I was unencumbered. No one thought I was weird because I was doing it on my own. Which is something I often did. I would literally just walk around in my room and like imagine and take on a vibration or take on a feeling and fully pretend, because like I read this book and it tells me if I do it, I'll get something. So I was like, fuck it.
Not knowing what you would get, but you had the feeling of an impulse. Like, this is right.
Right, yeah. So I wore this outfit and I walked around and I felt I was a prince. And 3 months later, I met a Saudi princess, which is bizarre.
Yeah.
To say the least. Very bizarre. And another thing I'd been asking around that time is I want direction. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my career. And I was completely lost. And you know, you've got that auntie that's asking you questions. What are you doing? And she's going, why don't you have a career yet? And you're like, oh, shut up.
Why don't you have a girlfriend yet?
Shut up.
Shut up,
yeah,
bitch.
that one. That one. Well, I'm not confident in my sexuality yet. Shut up. And a letter came in by the post and it was for jury service. And even when I held that letter and looked at it, that was another feeling like, oh, I feel like I've manifested this. I feel like this is meaningful. And it was all happening all around the same time. So I'd worn that outfit. I'd got this letter by post. I'd done jury service. And my mother was working at a law firm and I spoke to her and I said, I'd like to have a meeting with a lawyer to get some guidance, because I'd done jury service. I absolutely loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Watching barristers do closing speeches. I don't know why, but that tickled me. I was into
You would have
that.
sent me to sleep.
You're
Each
wrong.
to their own, baby.
You are
He'll be
wrong.
sending you to sleep soon then.
But this is the thing, the universe knows what you want
Yeah, it
as an
does.
individual. So I loved it. And I had this meeting and I'd missed the college deadline by a few weeks. So I had a whole year of nothing again. And I can't tell you how infuriating that was. You know, I was incredibly lost at the time. I felt like I'd finally got this direction. And then I'm being told you've missed the college deadline because my results were terrible. I got an E, D and a C at A level because I just wasn't in the right headspace at the time. And I had this year off and he says, okay, look, go learn French.
Who's he?
Good family friend. And the lawyer, he advised, go study French, go to France, work in France. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I've got a year of nothing. I might as well just do what he says. And lawyers are good to know second languages. You can be international, whatever. I don't know French, for the record.
Oh, I was about to start speaking to you in French then.
Bonjour.
Yeah,
Carry on.
I did some 8 weeks of intense French, and you know, I have nothing to show for it. But it was there that this woman was coming into class, and she was fabulous. Like, her hair was always done. She would always dress so interestingly, and she would always turn up late with her coffee. And like, it was just, she had a vibe to her. And I was like, you're so cool. And we ended up just hanging out, and we became really good friends. And I knew nothing about her. I think there could have been telltale signs that she was something not normal, should I say. I've got to be so careful on how I say this. Basically, one time we were on the topic of marriage, and her brother said something to the effect of, you know, it's normal for us to marry our cousins. And I was a bit like, sorry. And he was like, no, our second cousins. And I was like, right, okay, still a bit odd. And I was like, well, how many have you got? And he went, thousands.
It's like our family.
Is she Irish?
And I was just a bit like, right, that was weird. And then one day, I was in her 2-story penthouse. And at this time I'd been calling her Princess Blah. I really don't want to say her name. And then she showed me her passport, and it was the full
Is this
title.
where you said which floor or which?
Yeah, that story, yeah. Yeah, I bumped into her sister outside of the flat, and I said, which apartment is it? She's only told me the floor. And she went, yeah, floor 9.
The whole floor.
And I was like, right, that was helpful. And then I was like, yeah, it was floor 9. Damn.
So this was all started from you having that impulse and walking around your house in the Saudi Arabian attire.
So I believe.
Yes.
So I think.
It's not every day that you meet a Saudi princess.
No,
is it?
I mean, I've
That's-
never.
Yeah, like I'm trying to rationalize it in my head, but every time I tell this story, I'm just as mind blown.
Yeah.
I'm just as mind blown because I had got that outfit, I'd walked around in it, and I'd felt that I was a prince, really well and truly. And she's my best friend to this day. I love her to bits. She's my Saudi Arabian mother, you know. She's my second mother. I love her. I love her so much. She really raised me. And I think at the time I was living outside of London, and being in London then, that was an opportunity for me to really discover myself
Yeah.
and have that freedom. You know, like, she had no past knowledge of who I was or any judgment. And I lived with her for a year. And I really discovered myself during that time period.
She gave you some terrible habits, though. I must say. He literally, when I first met you, you thought you were...
A prince.
Yeah, like...
Well, I got adopted by a princess. What can I say? It got to my head. I've been working for years to try and unwind it. Otherwise,
Back to reality, baby. Wake up, wake up. You got to take the bins out, sweetie.
Yeah. First time I took the bins out, I had gloves on.
Yeah, he did.
Full gloves on.
He had gloves and a mask.
I found a COVID mask and I put it on. And I was holding the bin like this.
I was like, oh, fucking hell, what have I got myself into?
What is he doing looking out the window?
No, but you've been domesticating me.
Yeah, I
Before you,
have.
it was Liv. I lived with Liv Bentley for 3 months.
Yeah, Olivia Bentley.
She's got some stories to tell about chicken carcasses that are left out on the kitchen counter for a
Oh.
And nearly blowing up her bloody dishwasher. You put fairy liquid in the dishwasher.
I thought, look, fairy liquid makes them shine. Hang on a second. No, there's real logic to this. There's logic to this. I thought the fairy liquid ultimately would make the dishes shine. So, you know, I'm loading it. I'm being a good boy. I'm loading the dishwasher. I get it out and I give it a good little...
Squirt.
No, a heavy squirting.
When I
from
tell you,
all accounts.
it honestly looked like a bath, the kitchen. So, yeah, domestication. It's been a long journey for
Not
me.
your bag. Maybe you should manifest that.
journey.
Imagine.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. I lived with a princess and a maid for a year. Like, I got accustomed to it. What can I say? You know? And she loved me getting accustomed to it. She enabled it.
She definitely enabled it.
Bless her.
This is it, enabling behaviour. So, Joel.
Yeah, so for me, and my manifesting journey, I think a great example is obviously our relationship. I think I remember for a long time when I lived in LA for like 4 years, I was like repelling men, like just repelling them because I just wasn't ready to get in a relationship. And I remember coming home and then going, when I went to therapy.
Repelling men. That's
No, I was literally repelling them. I was
washing.
like, ew, get away. Like, psh. But it's because I was scared, really. Deep down, I was just petrified of men and petrified of relationships, petrified of intimacy. When I came home during the pandemic, I had to like sit with myself and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I actually want to be with somebody and I want to settle down, and I'm doing everything within my power to actually just not do that. So that's when I went to therapy, and I was like, I've had all these men approach me. They've been lovely to me, and then I've been the bad one. I've been the trauma in the situation, the drama.
Yeah.
And so
you weren't vibrationally ready.
I wasn't vibrationally ready. When I moved back down to London, I was just like quite lonely, like didn't have much intimacy going on, just lonely, very like overwhelmed by it. And obviously when I was in therapy, I kind of like started to unpick and unravel the reasons why. And I remember after that moment, I just got this feeling that I was going to meet somebody. And it was weird because I started like picturing myself on TV as well at the same time. And I, bumped into you at a nightclub.
Well, hang on. You'd seen me on Instagram first.
I'd seen him on Instagram first. He'd come up.
He'd done a bit of stalking.
He'd
He'd
done a
come
bit
up
of
on my
research,
explore
yeah.
page. I'd seen him. My
Yeah,
friends
but
had
I want to explore you.
and I remember seeing his face, and I was like, "This boy has such a beautiful face. He's so cute." And yeah, then I bumped into you at the box, and I was like, "Hold the hell up!"
This, by the way, this interaction. I'm in a club and I'm walking up. I'm beelining for this particular guy that I wanted to chat to.
Not me.
Which by the way wasn't Joel. And in the midst of me walking, I'm intercepted,
Literally,
like
You're a
fully
banana.
intercepted, and I'm like spun round, and he grabs my shoulders and doesn't let me move.
Yeah, we manifest a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Bash you over the head.
Yeah, well, that was some sort of
Snarling it.
physical manifestation. Like, it wasn't just effortlessly waltzing into my life. I was very much grabbed.
God.
But I loved it.
He just picked you up, chucked you over the shoulder.
Pretty much.
I loved it. And I looked at your son's shoulders and I was like, wow, this is something else.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But then we had no interest in each other.
There was no initial.
I was like, come to West. He was like, no, come to East. And I was like, no. And we just went back
There
and
was a
forth. And we went our
Texas
separate ways.
standoff. I was
Both
like, no,
being
I'm not
stubborn.
going with you.
Yeah. So we went our separate ways. And then we went on a date. And then here we are.
Yeah. I gave you my number, or did you?
I honestly didn't think you would text me the next day. I thought
Yeah.
that was bullshit. I was like, he's too drunk. I said to Seb, I was like, he's too drunk.
I wasn't even that drunk.
You weren't even that drunk.
No, I was
It's
just,
just how
I was
he
just
is.
high on life. I was like,
Can I just say, it's so interesting that you before meeting me, had that feeling that you were going to meet someone, because in my own way, I was going through something similar in the space of time before. And I'd been seeing this guy and it went wrong, whatever, but I managed to get back on my feet. And I'd been doing this really strange, it's probably not that strange, actually it is, this really weird exercise where you look in the mirror and because I believe in manifesting and law of attraction, I need to feel the feeling of love to manifest it, right? If I want a partner, I need to feel love for myself probably first. That's
yeah,
what I
of
thought.
course.
And so I would sit in the mirror and I would literally tell myself how much I loved myself to the point that I was near tears.
That's quite easy for
Quite
you.
intense. I mean, listen.
As my mother would say, your bladder's too close to your eyes.
Listen, I love crying. It's amazing. It feels fantastic.
That brings us on nicely to our wet little quiz
Okay.
about manifesting a partner. So, I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Or rather, I want you to tell me what you think are the steps in manifesting a
A
partner.
partner.
Wow. Do you know what I would lead with? If we believe in the law of attraction, I would say don't be too specific. Don't have such a strict criteria
Yeah, I agree.
because you're limiting what you can manifest if you do that.
I agree.
I honestly think it's a co-creation. So there would be some sort of visceral feeling, something that's right, something that feels right about that person. You've got to have a feeling. And so much of manifesting is about what you feel, because what you feel is the frequency that you're on, what you're vibrating. So I would say a feeling. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh, my knowledge is coming through.
Like, you can't stop thinking about them. So another one, apparently,
Did we really think that much about
you
one another? At the
can't
start?
stop thinking about you.
I don't seem to recall
I
if we
think we,
thought about
babes,
each other.
I remember early days, I was kind of like, I don't think this is going to work. And then you threw your dummy out the pram. And
I was
like,
gutted. I was gutted.
But that's the thing. I think our initial attraction, you weren't actually my type.
No.
What
Likewise.
I'd normally go for, but I knew.
I was into Germans at the time.
Got a bit of a German air about
It might be the shorts.
blonde hair, blue eyes.
Our relationship at first, you weren't my usual type, but I was open enough to be like, actually, let me just give this a try. And because you weren't my initial type, there wasn't that instant like fire and flame, but
Yeah, no, I didn't have that either.
it just slowly grew and grew and grew and grew.
was a
And then I was
slow
like,
burn.
yeah.
it was a slow burn. And then
Whereas
I was
with
like,
the other-
actually, I love this boy.
Yeah.
And it was literally like overnight. I was like, wait a minute. I've got feelings for this person. And I'm like, what the
I got
hell?
the feels.
I was like, damn.
Yeah, and so I think that's a good point because with manifesting, you think it's going to be some sort of fiery reaction. Like,
Yeah,
"Ugh,"
yeah.
like, wow. But it doesn't have to be that way.
I'd call that a trauma bond.
Let's just chuck that. Let's just chuck that pop psych out there. Just
I think you should give people a chance to get to know them. Like, you shouldn't have to feel that instant passion and, you know, the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows. Like, let something grow naturally and grow smoothly. And that's a sign of a strong
yeah.
relationship.
But at the same time, I think limerence is normal at the
Yeah.
start of any relationship. You're going to have that passionate love before it converts into a more companionate love. I honestly think that manifesting, the beauty of it is that it's not specific.
And it can
People can
surprise you.
surprise you, waltz into your life. Someone you don't even realise yet is going to be a future business partner. And for now, they're just a friend. Like when you're open to being surprised, I think this is the mistake that a lot of people are making with manifesting. They're so specific about it. You've got to be open-minded.
But that's what most people preach, is that you have to be very, very specific.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. Whatever works for you works for you. I don't want to be like, no, it can't be anything else. Like, anything that works for you will work for you.
Exactly.
To be honest,
Whatever you are receptive to, the universe can deliver. If you believe in numbers, you will get numbers. If you believe in...
It's
what you believe in.
I think as well, when you see 1111 Make-A-Wish, you're actually taking a moment to have a little prayer and a little moment of gravitational positivity.
Yeah, a bit of arse.
So
But it's 11:11 twice a day. You're actually manifesting at that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, apparently, if you see signs at that time, bullshit. I call absolute bullshit.
We got the bullshit police here.
It's 11:11 twice a day. Is something magical happening at those times twice a day?
I think as well,
No.
your body clock will start to be like...
Exactly.
"Oh,
It's like
okay."
if you wake up at 4 a.m. one night and you look at the clock, you know, with my clients, anybody that's struggling to sleep, I always tell them, don't open your eyes, don't look at the time, because your brain remembers it. And then the next night, it'll wake you up at 4 o'clock.
Do you know what I think is good about this? I want to talk about the dangers of this, right? Because for a while, law of attraction actually gave me a lot of suffering. Let's be honest.
Yeah, there is, in psychology, there is worries about that, because people with OCD, with strong anxieties, start thinking that they have attracted bad things
Right.
into their lives, or
Right.
somebody dies, it's like, I must have manifested
Right, so it
their
can have
death.
a negative repercussion.
So that
right.
could send somebody
Yeah.
into a complete spiral. And
Yeah.
I don't believe in manifesting like that. For me, personally, to create something, we first have to think. You know, there's certain rules, and with my coaching clients, we go through these, and it's just coaching. You write things down. You know, that's one of the first rules of manifesting, isn't it? Writing it down.
It's the ask, the
Yeah,
thought.
research shows that you're 42% more likely to achieve something if you write it down, pen and paper, not type it down. All you millennials and whatever you are.
Gen
whatever
Z.
Yeah.
Well, you're Gen X, baby.
So it's writing something down, and then you have the like you talked about the vibrational alignment, I talk about ego states. We've discussed this before.
What's
There's a
an
lot of
ego
parallels.
state?
There's a lot of parallels.
Exactly. So an ego state is, it's your whole being, your attitude. When you walk into a room and someone's happy, you can tell they're happy instantly.
That's
you
their
know,
ego,
by
like, exuding.
their position, by their, you know,
The
their
aura.
expression. If you could see their thoughts, you'd see the happy thoughts. If someone's anxious, equally, you'd see that, oh my God,
But it
what
just
if this
exudes
happens?
from
What if
them.
that
Yeah.
happens?
You can see
They
the
s-
anxiety come through how they structure their sentences, what they say.
So whether you call it a paradigm, whether you call
I
it
love
an
the paradigms.
ego state,
Love.
whether you call it a
Vibration.
state, a vibrational
Feeling.
frequency, we're kind of talking about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I work with clients all the time about their ego state. What are you doing? Like, what are you wearing that makes you feel like that? You know, wear your suit while you're doing your work so that you feel a certain way instead of your joggers or whatever else.
We did that, didn't we?
We did.
During my
yes.
exam period,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And is that not the same?
It's
I think it is.
it's
Yeah.
basically what you did with the Arab attire. Like,
You want to be a certain thing. So to create something, you have to first be clear on what you're creating.
Yeah.
Most people are like, I want this.
they lack clarity.
They completely lack clarity. So
Yeah.
for me, it's being clear about what you want and knowing the feeling that it's going to give you. You know, when we did that work, I had to remind you of that part of your personality. It was required to get
And
the
s-
work
and
done.
so-
Yes.
Who is he? How does he sit?
Yeah.
How does he think?
For a bit of context, by the way, I was doing my exam period in the third year of uni and I was struggling. I was getting burnt out. So I just quickly spoke with Krystyna
My mum, she
and did a bit of hypnosis. And as part of that, it was about wearing the attire to get into that feeling and to embody that,
embody
embody
a
that
lawyer.
spirit, to be a lawyer. Yeah,
And it creates that shift.
it does.
It shifts your vibrational
Yeah,
frequency.
it's
what some would
honestly-
say.
Yeah, I can see the parallels there. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
So, but without writing things down, it's really difficult to manifest anything. But equally, I do believe you can manifest bad things.
Of course, if you
By
are-
getting into a certain frequency, you can repel people
Yeah, you
and
can.
never end up in a relationship.
This is what I've been taught. There's just a source of like positivity or wellness, and you can either be receptive to it or be closed off to it. When you're closed off to it, that's when bad things might be manifesting.
so that's pessimistic people.
Pessimistic people.
That is my rant.
Yeah,
Bin them.
yeah.
Anybody that's pessimistic around you, you
Yeah.
need to get away from them because negativity spreads like wildfire.
Yeah. Again, terrible things happen on this planet. Like awful, awful things that I find so hard to justify on some basis of some universal law, like law of attraction. You know, how can I explain some of the atrocities that happened? I can't. This is where I literally am like, yeah, no, I forego my beliefs. I think this is where I'm like, it's bollocks. I don't want to engage in this. I get scared. I'm
You
like,
can use it for good and bad. But
Yeah.
it's not
Surely.
using it. It's using it for.
I'm just
good.
focused on the
That's-
positive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like,
Let's stick with
I've
that.
got blinders on. Yeah. I just want positive. Blah 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 blah. You know.
Good.
But yeah.
That's it, but you're repelling the negative.
Yeah, I suppose
Fabulous.
so. I suppose so. But that, for me, when I started Law of Attraction and I was a very anxious teenager, it was a real struggle because any thought that popped up, I would try and wrestle the thought to the ground. I'd be like, no, why am I thinking this? And then try and counter thought it and then like delete the thought and, oh, now I've thought this, now I'm going to attract it. And I would get in my head. And it was just obsessive. That is the danger that I
That's
warn
why
of.
I use the delete method. Just
Right.
delete. Don't argue with it. Don't just delete.
Yeah.
Walk away from it.
And so a big moment for me, a paradigm shift, was discovering Eckhart Tolle and realizing that you're not your thoughts.
Yeah.
You witness your thoughts. You are the observer. You are consciousness itself. And that was huge. Because when I was identifying with every thought that came up, that's
Yeah. It is-
crazy.
it is just
the
a
brain's
thought,
job
but
is just to think.
the quicker you move away from the thought, the better.
Yeah,
So
you need to
just
separate
you're
it.
just like, oh,
Yeah.
delete.
And for a long
move on.
time, I was like, what is walk away? And it was actually observe and dissolve it. But we could talk about meditation in another one.
On our first date, we actually really connected over Eckhart Tolle.
Yes.
And when I was living in New York, somebody left A New Earth, his second book, on my bed. and I read it, and it like got me on the path of like, okay, I need
Healing.
to switch my life up. I need to heal. I need to get connected with people and connected with myself, and that's basically what ignited our flames.
You see, how many books have I got in my little library about stuff like this, and you've not been interested? But when the student is ready, the tutor will appear. The teacher
Right.
will appear. So we're coming to the end, Robbie. Any final thoughts from you before I wrap up?
Again, it could be bollocks. But has it brought a lot of good into my life? I think so.
Yeah,
I
agree.
really do think so. I think don't be specific too much and get meditating. Incorporate a mindfulness practice into your life. That's what I would advise anyone. Because whether it's real or not, there are scientific-based benefits of meditation at least. And meditation is to bring your vibration up so you can attract things. If you don't believe in that, meditation just makes you a better person.
Stop with the Xanax.
Yeah.
Meditate.
Stop taking the pills and meditate. Feel your feelings. Don't be scared.
Thank you for coming,
No,
Robbie.
thank you for coming.
It's been
It's been lovely.
amazing.
This has been so fun.
Our first
Good.
guest.
We might have you back on.
I hope so. I love it. I love your living room. Thanks for inviting me. It's beautiful.
As you listen to my voice, you will feel obliged, obligated, compelled to subscribe, like, and share.
Manifestation goes beyond mere thoughts. It requires unwavering belief, relentless action, and a burning desire to achieve greatness. Success isn't handed to us. It's earned through sweat, tears, and countless setbacks. Embrace challenges, learn from failures, and let them fuel your hunger for greatness. Manifestation is a partnership between your thoughts and actions. Success is not a spectator sport. It demands active pursuit, resilience, and self-discovery.
Believe in yourself. Take inspired action
Nice.
and shape your destiny. Keep manifesting, striving, and never let anything hinder your dreams.
I love it.
The power to manifest success lies within you.
Yeah, it does.
And you.
And you.
And that's a wrap.